welcome to the show. It's something a little different. I just wanted to speak a little bit about some things I've been working on for myself. I've been going through some things, a lot of personal growth, personal change, and I've been learning a lot. And I felt like maybe some of you guys who listen to us would be in the same boat, or could benefit, or be interested in some of the things I have to say. I've never done this before. I don't really know how to structure it or what I'm going to talk about too deeply. I'm just going to kind of ramble a little bit, a couple minutes. You guys sent me some questions which I thought was interesting, and we'll just see how it goes. I don't know what format this is going to be. I don't know if you're going to hear this on FireCast, or it's going to be a separate thing, or if I even release this at all. I'm sitting in my wardrobe, and I don't know, I felt motivated to do something a little different. I've got some things written down about what I've been going through, some of the things I'm working on, and it's as much for myself as it is for any of you guys who may be interested in listening. I just kind of want to record my thoughts a little bit, to be honest. I've got 3 topics I kind of want to hammer home. That's balance, hardship, and discipline. These are 3 things that I'm really looking for in my life. I have struggled in the past with these 3 things, and the older I get, the more I realize how important it is to have these 3 things in your life. And when you feel lost, especially, it's good to have guidelines to keep you on track. And for me, this is really the beginning of a positive change in my life. Learning about this stuff, reading a lot of books, listening to a lot of spiritual teachers and things. I'm really learning a lot lately, and it's quite eye-opening when you find yourself in these positions, how much you really can change and how much your life can improve just by applying a bit of discipline and understanding balance. Life is all about balance, and the older I get, the more I realize how true this is. I've been listening a lot to a Shaolin master named Shiheng Yi, and he's given a lot of wisdom which has really resonated with me, which I think a lot of you could benefit from. He's really dope. You should check him out if you haven't. There's some podcasts and stuff of him. But I heard this. He said that since the day we were born, you have inhaled 50% of the time. You have exhaled 50% of the time. The sun has come up 50% of the time. The moon has risen 50% of the time. Everything is like this. Success only exists because there's failure. Light only exists because there's dark. Your heart pumps the blood, your heart sucks the blood. Everything is a constant cycle of yin and yang. And a lot of people will try to chase happiness. It's this pursuit of happiness everyone's constantly in. You want to feel good. You want to feel great. You want to win money. You want to be successful. And the truth is that these positive feelings may feel good for the moment, but in the long run they can be just as damaging as negative ones. Everything is on a spectrum. Everything is the same. Success is over here, failure is over here on the same spectrum. Happiness is here, sadness is here. It's all a spectrum, a wavelength. So when you're chasing these positive emotions constantly, you can quite easily lose yourself. And when you're relying on these positive feelings, when they get taken away from you, it's going to sting a lot worse. So I've learnt, instead of chasing happiness constantly, a lot of people should aim to be at peace. Being at peace is natural happiness, free of form, free of judgment. It's just being at peace with what is. You can hear the birds chirping, see the bees flying, the flowers blooming, and there's just an inherent love and positive energy in all of it. So instead of looking for external things, monetary things, to bring you validation, to bring you these feelings of success, it's already there in you. Earth is built on it. And you can quite quickly lose that. So striving to be at peace can often be a lot better than trying to be happy all the time. And that'll come naturally if you're at peace, because that's how life is. It's a good place. It's a happy place. That's the energy we live on this planet. So I think that can be a lot more important than trying to chase happiness or validation or success all the time. Something else I learned from Shi Heng Yi is he calls it rain. So when these feelings arise, whether they be negative or whether it's sadness or anger, frustration, you have to realize that you are not these things. You are someone who can feel these things, but you are not these things. You are not success. You are someone who can be successful. You're not rich. You're someone who can be rich. You're not famous. You're someone who can become famous. Because if you were these things, when they're taken away, you would cease to exist. So he describes this thing that these monks call rain. So when something arises in you, say anger, you can recognize, you acknowledge what this is. You are not your thoughts, you're not your feelings. So you take a step back, a deep breath, and you say, I recognize what's going on here. I feel anger right now. You acknowledge what this is. You accept it. You investigate. I investigate. You question where this came from. And then the N stands for no attachment. Something that Buddhists teach, and I've resonated with Buddhism for a long time in terms of religion. It's just something that's always stuck out to me. And the idea of no attachment has always struck a chord with me. It's this idea that you are not these things. You can't be attached to these things. You are boundless energy in an eternal form. So you cannot be these things. So you recognize these feelings as they rise, and you don't remain attached to them. You let them go. You free them. Another thing about Buddhism that I've actually known about for a long time is free of suffering. Buddhism is about being free of suffering. So that's really the thing that kind of stuck with me the most about when I first started hearing about Buddhism and what it's all really about. Free of suffering. It's about ending your suffering. realizing that there's more to this life and that you don't have to suffer. You don't have to be feeling the way we are conditioned as humans to feel. Bogged down, stressed, overworked. There is ways around this. And it's ironic, but the best way to do it is through doing nothing. Just being alive. Just being yourself. But that is so hard oftentimes for humans to do, myself included, which is why I've been struggling so much with understanding myself and knowing who I really am. And why this stuff really helps is because no matter how spiritual you might think you are, or how far along the path you are, there's always more work to do. And your mind is a powerful thing. It's more powerful than we can handle sometimes, and knowing how to wield it is one of the most important things in this life. You have to unlearn everything you were taught and brought up to believe since the day you were born. Society is not designed in a way for the souls. It's designed for the hands, for work, for monetary gain. So unlearning all that can really be a pain, especially if you're not brought up in religious circles or in, spiritual families, communities. Which brings me to hardship. Hardship is something we will all go through. This life is about growth. That's why we're here. We're boundless souls, boundless energy put on this planet for a reason. To elevate our souls, to evolve, to experience hardship. And that's everyone, regardless of your circumstance, regardless if you're born rich, if you're born poor, you will experience hardship. Some may have it more extreme than others, but there is hardship no matter what. No matter how small it may seem to someone, it is still hardship. And if it wasn't in this lifetime, it would have been in another lifetime. We've all been in extreme circumstances, and that's what gets you to where you are today. So you might live a fairly privileged life right now, but you've probably been here many times, and it probably wasn't always as smooth as it is right now. I believe we choose our lives, we determine what we're getting into before we get here, for the sole purpose of elevating our souls and moving on to the next experience. We're here for a reason. A lot of people think death is something to fear, failure is something to fear, but you chose it. This is what we're here for. It's like a small blip in what our true purpose is. It's like playing a game down here. And of course you might believe differently, and some people do. That's truly what I believe, and I think it makes a lot of sense, and it makes things easier to overcome when you realize that. There's a book I recently just read called The Force by Stuart Wilde. And I'm paraphrasing here, okay, but it's a bit of a long excerpt. But he says something along the lines of, a sparrow is beautiful because it expresses the force naturally. It does not amount to much, but it gives off beauty by its existence. Your goal is to work on yourself and become like the sparrow, and carry that light enough that one day you leave this plane behind and go on to other things. You have to be comfortable being you, being free, enjoying this experience, giving off that same beauty that the sparrow gives off, or you can apply it to anything, a flower, plants, the sea, the sky, mountains, animals. They just give off, your dog, your cat. It's a natural beauty, and humans have always been enthralled with these things, and regardless of how these animals behave, it's an effortless beauty, it's an effortless peace that they give off. We are part of that planet. We are part of this environment. Our aim is to become like these things, become like the sparrow. And one day, when you've carried that light enough, you can move on, and you'll be looking back at this little tiny ball that we call Earth with a smile on your face, and you can say that you helped create that, because everything you put into this world is part of the creation. We're all here creating endless imaginations. We are just figments of everyone's dream. We're just painting a collaborative picture. Ties into karma and all those beliefs, that what you put in is what you get out. Manifestation, the law of attraction. What you create up here will manifest in your world. Everything you carry around with you is like baggage, cosmic baggage that we choose to lug around. And you can drop that baggage at any point. You have to take the keys. You have to control your life. You have to be in charge. And just drop the baggage. But learning to do that can be hard. Which brings me to discipline. Because you must be disciplined to go down this path. You must be disciplined to want to be better. I recently decided to give up drinking. This is day 3. Believe it or not, 3 days. It's not like I was drinking every day or anything anyway. It's just coincidence. It was only a recent decision. But it shouldn't be very hard for me. You know, I'm not that attached to alcohol, but the point is, it's going to take some discipline to do that, especially in a social setting, especially on the podcast. But I want to try. I want to give it a go, because in this life, I've never really had that difficulty of having to give something up. Thankfully, I've never been addicted to substances or anything like that. I've just really wanted to test myself. And as I evolve and I get older, I realize that my experiences have never been that much enhanced by alcohol. So I felt like I could do without it. You know it's bad for you. Everyone knows it's bad for them, but we continue to do it anyway. It's the human condition. And I'm really dedicated to these things I'm learning, and I figured I should just give it a go. But that's going to take some discipline. We'll see how we go. I don't know if I'm going to give it up permanently. I don't know how long, but I'm determined to try it. Same thing with going to the gym. Same thing with patience. My biggest weakness is patience. And I'm really pushing myself currently to learn patience and to take things slower. To smell the roses every once in a while. To not rush my projects, because I do so many projects and I can't sit still. I have to have my foot on the gas all the time, and it's draining. And once you start to slow down, you start to notice a lot of changes. You see the world pass you by, and you could be with your head down in papers, in work, gotta go, and then 20 years later you don't even realize you've let life beat you. So patience is another big one for me. I watched a show recently, I'm sure a lot of you have too, Physical 100. And I realized while I was watching this show, I could not do what these people are doing. If you did not know, it's a show on Netflix. Great show. It's a South Korean show. They get all these bodybuilders and athletes, and they compete in challenges, basically challenges of endurance and strength, and they try to determine what the best physique is. And watching some of the challenges these guys are doing, and I can't even, how long and how much effort they're putting into these things and how long they do it for, and I realize I can't do any of that stuff right now. But that doesn't mean I never will be able to do those things. Because anything any human on this plane can do, so can you. Because they are just a human just like you. It might take training, it might take discipline. It might take courage, but with enough grit and determination, you can get there. They say the first arrow always hits. The first arrow always hits. That means it might sting the first time. Going to the gym as a beginner is going to sting the first time. Someone calling you names is going to sting the first time. But if you build up this resilience, you build up this tolerance, you build up this non-attachment, you build up this letting go of your ego and your pride, not attaching yourself to these identities. When people insult you, you can make sure the second arrow doesn't hit. You can make sure the third arrow doesn't hit. You can make sure you aren't grazed in the future. Just by building up a little bit of tolerance, a little bit of resistance, resilience to being knocked down. It's never going to be easy. I struggle with discipline a lot. I've been trying to go to the gym in the morning before work. I used to, no problem, but lately it's been a drag, it's been a struggle. I've been sleeping in and missing the gym. I work out a lot less now currently than I did just a couple months ago. And I still set my alarm every morning. I still set my clothes for the gym in the morning. They're on the countertop ready for when I wake up super early and I can just quickly put my gym clothes on and go to the gym before work. Never happens. So that's something I realize I need to pick back up, and I've done it once before, so I can do it again. People do it. People go to the gym at 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and they're humans just like me. So why shouldn't I be able to go? It's that line of thinking where your mind is capable of amazing things. You just have to be able to get through the first part. Get through that first arrow, and you can make sure the rest don't hit. Discipline. The mind is super powerful. Cold showers, saunas. These are things that build your mental resilience. Meditation is also hard, but you can do it, and you will thank yourself. Discipline always feels better than laziness. You will always feel better. It's just about how bad you want it. Now, I did ask on my Instagram for some questions when I knew I was going to do this. You guys left a couple responses. Thank you for that. Megalodon asks, what are the chances we all are the universe with the perception of individual consciousness? I think the chances are extremely high. I think that's what we are. I think we are extensions of God. I think we are consciousness split into 8 billion eyes. Well, 8 billion times 2. But we are brought on this plane to experience our creation. If you were an endless almighty being floating in the vastness of space and you could do anything, what would you do? You would want to experience your creation. The best way to do that would be split yourself into 8 billion individual souls, identities, consciousness, and make them forget who they are. And you would know, you would have an idea of what's going on, but you've merely forgotten. We all know, because we're all the same thing. We're all connected. But we've just forgotten. And what we call God, in my opinion, is an extension of ourselves. And once we pass on, once we achieve what we've come to achieve, we will go back to that source and we will move on to the next creation, the next dimension, the next adventure. So I think it's very likely. Zexa says, if you were in a plane crash and you were the only survivor, would that be luck or a miracle? I think luck and miracle are sort of similar. I think if you were the sole survivor of a plane crash, first of all, that'd be horrific. And second of all, I think it is nothing short of a miracle. You hear incredible stories of people surviving, being in skydiving accidents, people surviving car crashes, people waking up from comas. Miracles happen every day. And I feel like it's because we live on this plane where we can create, we can manifest, we can make amazing things happen. And it's also about that growth that your soul was looking for. If you went through an experience like that, it will be horrific, but I'm sure your soul would learn a lot of purpose. I'm sure the ones who are brave enough, who dare to try, the souls who are evolved enough, may choose to come here and experience tragedies like that. They may come here with a disability. They may come here as the carer of people with disabilities. They may choose to come here as people who experience death early, etc. I just think it's all a part of the journey that we're choosing to go on. And you might not realize it now, but once you die, you will. And everything is one and the same. Death is already here. Life cannot exist without death. The only reason we are conscious of the possibility of dying is because life exists. So, they're two sides of the same coin. We're all already dead, in a sense. So I think that would be a miracles Exa, and I think miracles happen every day. And they can happen to you too. If you're hoping, you're praying, you have the willpower, you put your mind to it, you work hard, you can create whatever you want on this canvas. Raz says, probably the most lost item of all time. Where do Bic pens go when they die? That's a very good question that I don't have the answer for, my friend. I'm not sure where Bic pens go, and I'm not sure why they are so often misplaced. Holloway says it's too scary. I think he's just talking about the universe in general. As I put the poll up, I said, ask me something about the universe, etc., spirituality, and he says it's too scary. It can be scary, but that's your life's purpose. That's why we're here. To experience it, to overcome it, to feel it, understand it, let it go. There's no reason to fear, because we're here for a reason. We've chosen to come here, obviously for a reason. Whatever that reason is, we will eventually be made clear of it, but it's nothing to fear. It's like going on a scary ride at Disneyland or something. It's a thrill. It's a thrill ride. We don't know what we're doing here, but we're here to experience it. We're here to enjoy the thrill and come out stronger. N3 says, do you think it's possible the sky is just a projection like the one in GTA and we actually can't go through it? I think anything is possible. I will never outright dismiss anything anymore at this point, because who knows? I don't know. Never really thought of the sky like that. I'm a big fan of space. I'd love to believe in all the things NASA is doing, all the things we achieve in space travel. I'm excited for the future of tech and space travel, so I hope not. I hope we can go out there. I hope we can go to Mars. I hope we can see all those things. But it could be a projection. I'm a big believer also that this could be a simulation, on the other hand. Which sounds very different to everything I've just said. But I don't think one necessarily has to disprove the other. I think it's possible this could be a simulation, but we could still also have chosen to come here and be souls and extensions of whatever that simulation God is. But it's also just a simulation. Or it's a simulation and the beings who created this simulation are the ones who are true souls and have come here. They've just, like us, if you think about society, I've said this before, but if you think about society the way we're going, we will eventually make a simulation that will eventually be very similar and indistinguishable from life. So, who's to say it hasn't happened before? But deep down in my heart, I don't think it's a simulation. As fun as that is to talk about, I feel like it is a strong possibility. It's up there in one of my most plausible theories. But I feel too real inside. I feel that soul in here. I look in someone's eyes and I can see that soul. Not computer digits, but you never know. Last question. Elevate Tribe AU says music is the gateway for aliens. I don't really know what you mean by that. But I also think, again, it's possible. Anything is possible. Music has the power to do incredible things. You can change a lot just through music. You can see how water ripples in unique ways when it's played music in certain frequencies. You can see how frequencies affect certain people. But I don't know how it could be a gateway for the aliens. Interdimensional aliens, maybe, can manipulate this plane through sound waves, frequencies. It's possible. But music is very powerful, and you should be more conscious of your music listening habits. Everything carries energy, music included. Heavy metal, deathcore, all that sort of thing. Even dubstep, EDM, which I'm a fan of. Some of that stuff can be pretty dark. So, even rap music. A lot of rap music, you hear Triple X talk about it. How they can use music to manipulate the brain waves and sound waves. There's a lot of spooky things that you could be partaking in. So I think it's very important to be conscious of your choices, conscious of what you're doing, the frequencies you are ingesting, and try to focus on the good things. Try to focus on being present, try to focus on being calm, being at peace, and really try to take those little steps. If you've thought about something that you've wanted to do or you feel like you should do, just start little steps, and you will get there. Like myself, I have a lot of work to do every day, but it's just little steps. And I feel like with each step I'm getting closer and closer to who I want to be and who I'm capable of being, and finding out my purpose and all that. But anyway, that's just a little rant, a little ramble. If you like this sort of thing, maybe I could do more. Now I kind of got the groove, I know what I'm doing a little bit more. I can be a bit more structured, maybe get some more questions. I just kind of wanted to get my thoughts down on video and just reflect myself, learn to conduct myself, speak. You know, a little speaking exercise. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning into the podcast every week. Thank you for streaming the music. And I'll see you in the next one.